Don't ever think that you're alone. Don't ever feel hopeless. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not always an oncoming train.
Vinny is a man, always doing what he can. Growing up tough, he knows how to be rough, but had a brain more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Saturday night, the night before the big storm that's going to dump maybe close to 2 feet of snow in the New York area. And first off, I hope that you bought your milk today and that you're all safe and sound and your cars are in good spots so you'll be able to dig out and just be safe. That's your only homework for tonight. Domestic abuse, surviving the horror. I was asked by one of my life coach students to do a show on this, and she will be watching tonight. And it's a very prevalent problem in America, around the world, but in America. And we misunderstand it. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I know a household where the parents were disabled. The son left the house at an early age, like 18, to get married, start his own life. Only later, through self-actualization and reflection, to find out that he ran. He couldn't face the mockery. Kids can be very cruel. His parents, one was in a wheelchair. And you can't understand that when you're young. Just think of any adult now. And if you told that adult, when you were 10, here's a video of you mocking this kid because his mother had braces on her arms from polio, maybe. The person would be mortified and would be apologizing relentlessly to you because that's how horrific it is. But when you're a kid, it's not. It's being a dumb kid. Survivors of domestic abuse, now, this is a different type of abuse where you are a victim. They can find themselves in a very weird space. Some people have described it as a limbo, a no man's land, an everlasting stretch of gray, of fire down the path where there's no chance of getting out. Like you're lost in the wilderness, confusion, uncertainty, doubt. Can you imagine? Now, we all live with that in one form or another. Maybe we like a girl, and we're not sure if she likes us because she didn't call us this week. After a couple of good dates, we're left. And that would be the most important thing to us at that point, right? We all face situations where we don't have the answers, and that endless loop in our mind drives us crazy. If I ask you and you forgot a song title, you'll be driving yourself nuts for it because the mind is a loop. It has to solve. You need closure, resolving. And then there's the situation where people just can no longer be in that abusive relationship. And their experiences in the relationship have so impacted their lives and who they are and who they were before the abusive relationship that it's a jumbled mess. They could feel they're no longer who they were as a person before they got entangled in this dysfunction. Very true. You can lose the idea where you'd like to be because that's such a far fetched, it's like winning the lotto, feeling lost in yourself, losing everything that was familiar to you, everything that was a constant, toxic, disabling, disempowering, what that relationship could have been, and how you feel now if you've actually, in fact, successfully left it. Can a survivor rebuild their life after domestic abuse? Sure, you can. I bet you never thought that Robert Downey would be clean, right? There are people that you wouldn't bet on. They say you could see the winners in the starting gate, and you could just see in the starting gate before the race is run who has no shot. Patience, self compassion, support group is important with anything you do. Survivors can heal, they recover, they do. And they even experience post traumatic growth where their life, believe it or not, really becomes much better than it may have been if they hadn't succumbed to that emotional distress of a dysfunctional and a abusive relationship. Trauma survivors experience quite a bit of emotional growth because it's just a consequence of what they've gone through. You could be lost in the wilderness, uncertain. That wilderness could seem hundreds of miles in front of you. But there's ways to let it resonate in you and come out as lemonade after the water is poured in. How do you do it? What's the philosophy for people that actually recover? Well, you have to take a step back, look at your own experiences, and try to understand what happened to you to begin with, right? You have to know where things went wrong before you could try to right them. When you understand the phenomenon, we can acknowledge it. The grip of confusion loosens a bit, and the stuckness that goes with it. We're stuck in quicksand. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. When the light comes in, even if it was black, the darkness disappears. Ask yourself a couple of questions. There's one simple one. How did I get hooked? This question will be answered differently by most. Blaming yourself for your partner's abusive behavior. Oh, I'm too rough on him. Oh, it has to be me that caused him to be this way or her to be this way. Trying to get that understanding of how you got caught. Naivety, whatever it was. Was it a desperation to be with someone and you overlooked the red flags that were there all along? You just closed your eyes and winced like the boogeyman. Was there external pressure from your abusive partner? It can be very difficult, but you have limits. You have emotional blocks. We all have blind spots. How do we recognize them? What do you believe about yourself, right? Why am I so stuck in this situation? If you catch yourself saying something like, I'm too old to learn new skills, that's a limiting belief. It's not true, first of all. Can it be harder to learn the new skill? Sure. We lose the capacity at some point in our lives for change. We get befuddled in a morality that we've built around ourselves, and we know all the trapdoors so we can keep ourselves from getting out. It's a difficult process. Um, your limiting belief, you're too old. Not true. You might want to talk to people, find inspirational stories of people that have done it, maybe something similar of what you're aspiring to and how they overcame the barriers to get to where you wish you could. What's important today? What makes you tick? Today, so different than yesterday. You may have lost your sense of values in the abusive relationship, which happens. Now it's an opportunity to figure out what's important to you, not anybody else, not what's important to them, what's important to you. Take a pause, reflect, ask yourself, what's important to me right now in this moment? Why now? And revisit the question from time to time. What is it you need? You need time to unwind, space to just chill out, time and space to play. You have to befriend your boundaries because your boundaries have undermined you in every way during an abusive relationship. But once you get out of that relationship, you're in a position really to figure out what your boundaries are because you lose um, context of what they are. Communicate with them. You can talk to yourself. You're allowed. I do. I don't get in trouble for it. Create a vision for yourself. Your past experience doesn't mean that you cannot live a fulfilling life. Absolutely not. But you have to get in touch with the goals, know what they are, the desires, the intentions, putting yourself around good people that aren't going to derail you. Revisit your strengths, your qualities, your abilities, your skills. Think that you're okay, that you endured and survived domestic abuse. Indicates that you're strong, much stronger than you might feel or recognize at this moment, right? You may have had positive qualities that you lost. They got maligned by the abuser because no one wants to see you succeed, especially someone that has you under their thumb. They lied to you. You have to stop looking at yourself through your abuser's lens. Any one of you that wears glasses, if you tell me to a picture of Degas, I like the artist Degas. If show me a picture, give me your glasses to look through, I'm going to see that picture totally different than I would through someone else's and then ultimately my own. You have a choice in life. You have to practice self-compassion. And then you wonder, how do I get there? Well, there's the question. That's the question. Hey, Ira. The question is, how do we get there? What do we know about ourselves enough to be able to get there? If you've had a violent or abusive partner, there may be a sense of relief once they've escaped, a calming peace, because you've shut the door on that chapter of your life. You watch a great TV series, you binge watch. The last season, you start noting how many episodes are left. You didn't do that in season 2. When you're up to season 7, you know it's the last. Now you start taking note. You start putting things around you. Like, I wonder what's going to happen with these two. Are they going to end up together? I wonder what happens. Are they died up? You start looking at things differently when you know you're toward the end. You read a great book. You're almost finished with the book. The disappointment in finishing the book is only resurrected with hope of, oh, there's a new book I've been wanting to read. I'm looking forward to that one. You don't dislike the book you just read. You just have to move on. Sometimes we experience something totally different. Instead of tranquility, we're filled with anxiousness. Instead of joy, we feel guilt. Therapists say this is normal. Emotions come out of stages of recovery after trauma since time immemorial. Trauma recovery looks very different for everyone because we're all different. We're wired differently. Clients sometimes feel like there's something wrong with them or they're failing at recovery because they read so many books they can't relate on how people coped with them because seeing is much different than reading. That's why you have to go to school. Reading all those books, you might have read the same source material, but the way the teacher is explaining it, it kind of makes sense. And there are three major stages in everything. But really, there was a French pioneering psychology, Pierre Janet, and he outlined what many believe is the framework in the late 1800s for trauma recovery. Judith Herman, another psychologist, transformed Janet's initial ideas into a three-stage approach so maybe we can visualize it. If you have a visualization, it's like having your Waze on. If you could actually see the map and the arrows is different than them telling you in 100 feet, turn right. Some people just visual cues enable you. Phase one, safety and stabilization. That's something very, very academic. Trauma survivors tend to feel unsafe in their bodies and in relationships with others. That's just how you mask the fear of coping. They struggle with regulating their everyday emotions, even to walk to the corner, because they may not associate walking to the corner directly with trauma. But what happens if you walked to the corner last week and came home to a real abusive situation and you happen to be going to the 7-Eleven like you just did? It may take months or even years to regain a sense of safety. Remembrance and mourning. That's a very big part. That's when people break up with you, you break up with people. Survivors may begin to process the trauma. You can almost assign words now and emotions to help make meaning of it. If I gave you pad and paper, pad and pencil, you wouldn't be able to do it the first day. As it becomes clear, you could verbalize it. And the trauma is no longer a dealing principle in your life, nor a defining one. So you can redefine yourself in that context of meaningful relationships, and you create a new sense of worth because you know the future now depends on you. You could find a mission, you could become a mentor, advocate, good behavior, be an advocate for others. The self blame game is always one of the stages. That's why when someone passes away, did I tell them I love them? Did they know? When Kobe passed away last month, you know what I thought of? For every one pet, the time I said, Kobe, stop, when he was barking and I was doing a show. You become emotionally beaten down by your own grief, self blame, confusion about whose fault was it? Did I cause this person to be so mean and abusive? Frustration, really, more accurately, describes what they're feeling. Most depressed clients, and I have two students now, there's a deep sense of resignation. This is my life. I don't know how it ended up like this, but this is my life. My friend who was battling an illness feels that way. Oh, this is how did I get here? I want my life the way it used to be. Your life's not going to be the way it used to be. You have to build a new life. You need a new normal. It's never going to be what it was. But that doesn't mean it can't be fulfilling, right? Baseball player gets traded from an organization he was with for his lifetime. You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he'll meet a wife in a new city, right? So, what would be the biggest date of his career? Signing with one team or getting traded and meeting his future wife in the other city? In front of her, he better say the biggest moment of his life was meeting her. Uh, Survivors, and I'm saying survivor, it doesn't mean that you were beat up and stuff. Emotional abuse is just as bad. You were conditioned to be passive by your abuser. Showing anger could literally put your life at risk. So you really can't react. It's a natural progression. Emotion is very scary. But when you can reclaim a voice and learning how not to be afraid now of your emotions and to be able to say something when something bothers you, that's a significant part of recovery. But the thing you have to remember more than anything, and this is with anything, um, healing from trauma, healing from my shoulder injury, healing from a lost love, it takes time. No matter if the abuse lasted a few months or a few decades, it's not going to be an overnight process. Getting over it may never be part of your recovery. Do you really want to get over it if it's taught you so many things to have a enriched life now? No. You want to learn to deal with it. Reclaiming your voice is key. Abuse can have a lifelong impact, and the severity can actually be lessened when you're speaking to people that have been through similar situations. The one kid that I'm dealing with, not a kid, he's 35, says, "I just want to be over this and move on as fast as possible." I told him that doesn't work that way. I don't bother to pay me. I can't help you if that's what you feel. I can't. I'm not going to make you a promise I can't keep. I can't promise you that you will be sparkling new, but I can promise you you will feel better, right? Uh, then you have people like recovery doesn't work because they want it over tomorrow. If you try to rush the recovery process and you really don't do the work, you're going to continue to deal with it. Anxiety, depression, anxiety over your inability to project a positive outcome, increased risk of being a target of an abuser again. Why do you think people go into abusive relationships? Doesn't it seem like the guy that always gets abused by girls, always, how do they pick this person? No one's putting out a resume with his phone number on it in the bathroom. Go call this guy if you want to abuse a guy. No, you must be doing something that's eliciting that behavior. You have to validate your unique experience because you own it. No one else can say they went through the same exact thing. The number is up there if you are going through abuse. Mitch, I think it was the 8th. I'm pretty sure it was the 8th. Yeah, it was a terrible day. Terrible day. I learned a lot about myself that day, and I've continued to. Here's a perfect example, and I'll use Mitch because Mitch has given me permission in the past. Mitch doesn't drive anymore. Not all of his own doing. He had a very, very expensive car lease, and when he went to the hospital and he stopped working, he couldn't do it anymore with the car insurance, which is I pay $9,000 for 3 cars, car insurance in New York. That's without a car payment. It's impossible. Mitch misses a car. Sometimes, if I go back to 1978 when all my friends had cars and I didn't, I remember what that feeling was like. Sometimes I just don't get it and say, "You have a Cessna ride. You don't need a car." you have to weigh the feeling. When I tell you guys a super chat, it means more to me that we become friends because I can't put a value on friendship. Like I can't put a value on friendship. What is the value of someone having a car in their parking spot, never using it, but knowing that if they just want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, take a walk into their car, drive around the block with the radio blasting for 10 minutes, and come back in and lay down? What is that value? Some would say $400 a nut, $400 a month nut, or $500 for that? For the amount that you'd have to pay for a car payment and insurance and upkeep, you could probably take 30 Uber rides. Think about it. If each Uber ride is $10, you could take 30 to 35 during the month. That's 7 to 8 a week. And still have money at the end of the year saved compared to owning a car. No, Mitch has had one since he's 17. Mitch only knows life with a car. Can you blame him? No. First of all, you can't blame people for how they feel. You may not agree with it, but you can't blame them. There is someone out there, and who's universally considered really good looking. We're taking me out of the equation for this one. I'm kidding. Brad Pitt. There is a girl out there who is with a morbidly obese guy who is not very pleasant to look at, and she wouldn't leave this guy for all the Brad Pitts in the world. How is that possible? You'd say you're crazy because things don't make sense. They're not supposed to, or you wouldn't have to live this life. If you had all the answers, why take the test? To Mitch, for no other reason but to have in his mind that at any moment he could walk out, go in that car, throw the radio on, and unwind for a half hour. That is his security blanket. That's his teddy bear when he was 3 in bed. That's the blanket that he snuggled up to. Ask a kid, I'll give you $1 million or Teddy. Which one they're going to pick? There's no rhyme or reason. Financially, certainly you can't make a financial argument for it because it would not hold up well, his argument. Emotionally, unquantifiable. The things that you can't measure in monetary equation is what that car is to Mitch. That car brings him back to before he was ill. Now, is that? Yeah, just like me finding my old Shout jacket and bringing me back to when I was 24. Nothing wrong with that. Are you going into the past too much, not realizing that your life has to change now? No, not necessarily. Doesn't everyone deserve a moment of reflection and putting a smile on your face for what you did when you were younger? So what is it? I know. What do you think? I do this for nothing, Mitch? What? I'm kidding. What is it about that car? Well, I can tell you as a therapist. That's the whiteout that he could put over the word cancer. And the rain starts falling and the whiteout gets smudged away, and him getting in the car, putting on the radio is putting more whiteout. He's not 25 anymore. He's the Mitch without the diagnoses. And like I said, that represents youth to him. And with youth, the world is your oyster. When you have to realize you're too old to go to medical school, there's a realization there. So by getting a car, it brings Mitch back to when he wasn't ill. It puts him in a better mood. So he's walking around during the day, not thinking about the car, but in a better mood because he has it. Like I'm walking around when Colby was alive in a much better mood. I wasn't consciously every second thinking of him, but he was there in the life. He was part of my life. Now, some would say, but you're not moving on, Mitch. You have a new normal now. You had 47 years of driving a car. Time for someone else now. But go look at any 78-year-old guy who dyes his hair jet black and is driving a Porsche. It's time for him to grow up too. Sometimes growing up is not an option. So the only other thing we can do is try to stay grounded enough where we don't lose total sight of where we are right now. Don't get so excited in Times Square where you get hit over the head or get pickpocketed. You have to know your surroundings. You could still have a great time. So Mitch has to be supplanted where he knows this isn't a fix. It's the liniment that he puts on the aching muscles. It doesn't take the muscle problem away, but it does take the sting away for a while. And we all deserve a little relief, don't we? So when we blame ourselves that maybe it was our fault, we could make that statement about anything we do. If I didn't go out, I wouldn't have got hit by a car. If I didn't go to the game 4 years ago, I wouldn't have wrecked my ankle. Right? Would've, could've, should've are the three most encumbersome words you could ever have in your vocabulary because it gives you an excuse. Your excuses are your own. You want a car? It's because I want a car. You don't understand. Sorry you don't understand, but that's me. I can't afford it. I don't care. When you were 17, if you couldn't afford it, would you say, don't worry, I'll pay for it? You're not worrying how you're going to get the money. You know how deeply you want what you want, and you just pray everything will work out. Like 22-year-olds that get married. They're in college, they don't even have jobs yet. Oh, everything will work out. How do you know? Because I know. We love each other. Try telling two 22-year-olds that elope that they made the wrong decision. Sometimes whatever you do is not going to be agreed with, but you have to live with it. So when a domestic abuser finally gets called out by the abused saying, you know what? I've had enough. I'm not empowering the bully anymore. Because you empower a bully. When a girl mistreats a guy and a guy has had 5 girls in his life that have all abused him, that's on you. You set the precedent. You're doing something. It's not right. If I walk down the worst neighborhood in New York and get hit over the head counting $100 bills at 3 o'clock in the morning, if Ira came to my bedside at the hospital, "Oh my God, Vin, are you okay?" "Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Why are you there at 3 in the morning counting money?" There comes a time when we have to be accountable. You feel bad for the result, but why did that result accumulate to the point where our lives have been filled with constant abuse? Because we're allowing it. You're allowing the bully to hit you. When you hit a bully back, no bully likes to get hit. They'll find someone else that won't hit him back. Or she'll move on to someone that will take her shit. And what happens is with women, they start getting mad at you because you're sticking up for yourself. You think they've screamed when they wanted their own way. Wait until you stand up for yourself how they'll scream because they're not used to it. And the first thing they'll do, what are you talking to, Brooklyn guy? They know someone's in your ear. The abuser ends up hating all your friends because they know the friends are not rooting the abuser on. If you walk in and all of a sudden start chastising someone that abused you, you spoke to somebody. Someone had to tell you, don't take that shit anymore. Why now? Why are you changing now? And the abuser will hate you for sticking up for yourself. They need their dummy that they can pummel. And usually an abuser has been abused. They'll pick you to pick on because they can't say something to someone that is too strong for them. Yeah, how many times a girl can't talk to her boyfriend because he doesn't take any crap, which is not right. But so she'll abuse her friends and get abusive with other people because she takes it all the time. She needs to be able to vent. She needs some power. It's empowerment. I finally found someone I could pick on. You don't feel like such a victim if you victimize somebody, because victimizing someone signals that in your own sick mind that you're strong. No, you're just an abuser and you found the right target. Some people are very good at finding the target. They could actually look in a bar and look around and just from the way the guy's holding his beer. People are good at hurting people. It becomes a sport. So what do? Well, of course, doing it, you don't take an abuser on if you think your life could be in danger. You call the hotline. You learn from professionals the best way to possibly do it. You don't go in without a game plan. The Super Bowl, he doesn't just throw the ball out on the field, kick, all right, do what you want. No, you got to have a game plan. You're going to get murdered. Bad choice of words, but you know what I mean. You have to surround yourself with people who are looking to really help you. But you have to want to help yourself. And helping ourselves sometimes is the toughest thing to do because we are so entrenched in our previous incarnation of who we were that we don't know how to get out of our own way. Well, I can tell you from experience, not ever as an abuser or getting abused, just from making change, because I've changed my life. I had to. It's not easy. You'll think everybody's against you. You'll play the victim until you don't play the victim anymore, until you're the recovered. And that is your Super Bowl. And it's a success that every single day you'll stare at that progress and say, I did it. I'm a champion. I'm the winner. Everyone, if you are in the path of this storm, which should be a pretty dangerous one, significant snowfall, please be safe. Don't drive out in that condition if you don't have to. Uh, hey, Tiny, how are you? Thank you. Thank you for coming in. And if you're in the Northeast, be careful because we're supposed to get some storm. I love snow. Now, if this was 2 weeks before Christmas or Hanukkah, whatever you subscribe to, it would have been cool, right? Everyone loves a white Christmas, white holiday season, whatever. Now it's kind of like they're talking about baseball in a month, and now you're getting a snowstorm. But be careful out there. Tiny, thank you so much for coming in. And I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Getting ready to jockey some cars around. The last time I'll show Tiny my car. This was my car last month. I unfortunately parked in the area where they shovel and push to the right. And this ended up being my car. I don't know if you could. It wasn't a pretty sight. But thank you. I hope you check out some of the other shows. If you like The Sopranos, I did a terrific interview with Robert Finaro, Eugene Pornikova. You'll like that one. And we just come in and hang out. Thank you so much, Tiny, for coming in. God bless you. God bless everybody. Right, Ira. Well, because it hurts. I remember shoveling snow when I was a kid, making $5, shoveling stoops or whatever we called them in Brooklyn. I don't remember being so sore the next day. I remember being tired. I don't remember being sore. Things have changed. Oh, thank you, Tiny. And I don't know if you're getting snow tomorrow into Monday, but be safe, man. Definitely be safe. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. And I hope you come in again. Everyone, be well. God bless you all. Thank you. See you soon.